So, have you ever considered what frames your life? On a tombstone, it's pretty easy because you've got the day you were born and the day you die, and in between there's this little dash that represents your entire life. But what is it in actuality that frames it? What is the very first thing that you do when you are born? And what's your very last act that you do as a human? The first thing, you inhale. The last thing, you exhale. And in between, every single day, you take 14 to 25,000 breaths. And the quality of those breaths determines the quality of your life. If you know how to breathe properly, then your life is going to be better in a way that you will be able to focus more, you will have more energy, you can enter flow state, your inflammation in the body will be lower, and there's going to be better chance that you'll be able to deal with stress and anxiety, and will avoid depression overall. But how to breathe properly? Well, we'll discover this throughout the presentation. But before we do that, we're Databox, right? So let's collect some data. How's your breath? Just don't do anything, don't judge, don't change. Just notice, are you breathing into your mouth or into your nose? Take a mental note. Are you breathing into the upper chest or lower chest? Or into your belly? Just notice. Close your eyes and just turn inwards. Notice, how's your breath? Is it deep or shallow? And let's do a little experiment. You're going to count the breaths, just natural breaths, how you're doing it. So you can start counting now. We'll do 15 seconds, so you just count. Stop. So take this number and multiply it by 4, and that's how you will get number of breaths per minute. You'll figure out later how efficient is your breath and how you can optimize it. My name is Simona, and I'm a holistic coach. I guide people on the journeys to self, inwards and up, expanding the awareness of what's going on in the internal world, expanding consciousness, expanding the quality of life. I do this with powerful tools that were used for millennia. So we've got meditation, breathwork, inner inquiry, contemplation, and plenty of other biohacking and holistic coaching tools. I was not always a coach. I definitely did not study breathwork at the university. How it started? Well, I studied business and marketing. I got a job in Heineken. I was brand manager, amazing job, perfect for a marketeer, the ultimate real-life university. But my life was all about work, working 12 to 14 hours a day, and then partying hard. I mean, I was drinking beer at work because that was my job. So, and then I was decompressing outside of work with way more drinking, way more partying, and escapes to festivals where I took plenty of substances just to chase the highs, which I could not get when I was in my real life. Well, my social life was pretty non-existent because I was working all the time. And the slight chance of doing something that makes me happy, I'm just like, nah, I'm going to prioritize the work. And right now you had this workshop where we were talking about balanced work with life. And back then, I did not understand it. I'm like, I will rest when I will be in the grave. I don't have time for resting. I don't have time for meditation. I don't have time for anything. I need to get the stuff done. But then my body was giving me signals, okay, it's time to take a break. So I quit my job and for a while took some time off to rest, to enjoy my life. and then started my own marketing agency, One Women Show. In the beginning, I picked up meditation. Like, I'm not going to do the same mistakes I did when I was working for the corporation. I'm going to be the master of my own life. Well, it took like 2 months till I was not master of my life anymore. This picture perfectly describes how my life was. There's darkness, definitely, but there's also plenty of colors. You see the contrast. I was always going for the extremes, either go all the way into the darkness or all the way into the bliss and just chasing the highs. This was actually a picture from Boom Festival. It's something like Burning Man, if you know about it. So Burning Man of Europe, 33,000 people chasing the highs, the best experience of my life. But then after you take a cocktail of stuff, then you're depressed, and my anxiety started to roll way more. I was pretty good at overseeing those signals that my body was giving me. My Instagram was flying with colorful pictures from places all around the world. I was meeting all the important people. This is the president of Malta. This guy probably owns like half of Malta. And my life became one huge, how do I say it? It was a theater. So I was giving fake smiles, giving empty promises, working endless hours, pretending that I'm always fine, but I was not. Deep down, I was miserable. I was deeply unhappy. My digestion stopped working. I did not have any energy. I did not need any alarm to wake up because panic attacks would do it for me. I would not then find the time to relax or like the capability to relax without any substances. I got addicted to smoking weed. And I was either high to get into the flow state, to get creative, or I took coffee to power myself up through the day. So I was basically just a channel for everything what I could get inside of myself to be productive. I was chasing the work, I was chasing the goals, and I forgot about myself. My life looked like this: hangover at the airport, sleeping anywhere I could be when I had a few hours for myself, and then living basically from the suitcases. Came home, unpacked one suitcase, and then packed another one because next day I was flying somewhere else. This life was not sustainable at all. And at one point, I had massive mental breakdown in the worst possible time, and I realized I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what makes me happy. And even if I do, I don't have the time for it. Like, what am I even doing with my life? So I did the only rational thing I could think of, and I sold everything what I owned, packed one backpack, and embarked on a one-way journey to Sri Lanka. My friend invited me. He was telling me, hey, if you want, we're going to go to a breathwork retreat. You can join us. I'm like, why not? It was at the time when Wim Hof was starting to get more mainstream, so I knew about the benefits of breath, but I never had the chance or the time to practice it. So I'm like, 1 week in the tropics, breathing, why not? I had my mind open, and I had no other choice because I was just depressed or anxious, and my body was giving up on me. So why not to give it a try? This 1 week changed my life. It was like 3 years of therapy within just 8 days. I went deeply inwards. I saw all my patterns that actually led to my burnout. I saw all the mental states that led me to prioritizing work over my personal life. I started to see so deeply within that I got obsessed with distraction. Why distraction? Well, this is how I looked like before I left to Sri Lanka. If you look into my eyes, it's empty. their sadness, and no reason to see life as a beautiful thing. And then later, with plenty of inner work and working consciously with breath and meditation, suddenly I was full of life and I was spreading it all around. How did I get there? Well, yeah, it was 4 years of deep work on myself and figuring out what we were doing today, that life takes a major role in our journey. And it's not only about work, it's also about life. And on my journey, I started to learn about stress. What is it? Stress is a survival mode. I wanted to understand, like, why was I acting the way I was acting? I wanted to understand what was happening in my body when I felt stressed. So stress serves its purpose. Back in the days when we had saber-toothed tigers running around, we needed a certain biological system within our body to save ourselves, to save our life so we can breathe more. So when there's some external stimuli that poses as a dangerous situation, then our brain sends a signal to our adrenals to release a cocktail of chemicals such as cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine, which are actually the stress chemicals. And those chemicals then cause different things within our body. Our digestion shuts down because why would you want to digest that apple when you need to run away? So all the energy, all the blood, it goes into our system, so into our muscles, and also it allows us to focus sharply. We need to find the very first place to hide. Immunity doesn't work at all because your body doesn't care if you're dying from cancer, if you're not going to be alive in 5 minutes, if you're not finding a place where to hide. So this is what's happening within the body when you're stressed. But right now, we don't face such dangerous situations anymore. But what we're experiencing is low-impact stress. So it's not like this massive cocktail of stress chemicals within our body when something big happens. It's just like drip, drip, drip. And it causes our body to be in a constant state of stress. We can also balance it out with different practices, sports, being in the nature, laughing with friends. That's also a way to decompress, a healthy way. I was exploring all the unhealthy ones. I suggest those healthy ones. So it's possible, but when you're not decompressing enough, then your body stores the stress within the cells. Body is the perfect accountant. Every wrong thing you did to it, it remembers. So that's what's happening when you're stressed out. And if you're going to focus on certain goals, if you want to prioritize customer impact, if you want to do whatever goals you have, even if it's just like having a family and leading a fulfilling life, you're not going to achieve it if you've got low impact stress hindering your process. So whatever goals you want to achieve, wrong animation. So underneath goal achievement, what's influencing goals is behaviors. How you're acting out, that's what results you're going to get later on. And all those things are visible on the outside. So everybody can see how one is acting and what results they're getting. But what we don't see is actually everything underneath, and that's where the awareness is important. So we've got physiology, our physical body. If you've got a headache, then you can't really focus, you know that. If you've got a massive stomach ache, you can't strive for achieving goals because you're focusing on your physiology first. So physiology, it's different organs, different systems, heart, lungs, digestion, immunity. This is all within physiology. And all the organs, they are creating certain signals. Electrical signals, which are our thoughts, that come through our neurons from the brain to the body, or from the body back to the brain. We've got the chemical signals that are the hormones that are guiding our moods, so the emotions. We've got electromagnetic signal that is produced by our heart. Actually, our heart produces 10 times more energy than our brain. So all those energy streams within our body, they are called raw emotions. Energy in motion, E-motion. So those are raw emotions. And then based on how we think, where we are in life, we interpret those raw emotions as a certain feeling. I'm feeling happy, I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling angry. All those things have a certain physiological correlation. So everything is interconnected. And the way you think is going to influence the way you feel. If somebody is going to stand in front of 100 people and present, what are the physiological symptoms? Well, my palms are sweating, my heart is racing, the throat is pretty dry. And this, if I'm thinking that I'm going to screw this up, then my feeling is nervousness, anxiety, and just fear. But the same physiological symptoms are experienced when you're excited. So if I'm thinking I'm going to rock this presentation, then I'm going to be excited. So we've got the same signals within the body, but we interpret it differently based on how we think. And everything is interconnected, but mostly, since we're going from the bottom up, our feelings influence our thinking more. So if you're feeling happy, you can solve any problem. But if you're feeling low and sad, then everything seems to be a problem, and the resolution of that problem is so far ahead that you just can't think about it. So our feelings influence our thoughts, and our thoughts influence our feelings. But the way we feel is way more dominant to our overall performance and behaviors. So if you want to achieve something in your life, whatever fulfillment it is, then you need to take care of your nervous system, because you don't act in accordance to what you know or what your goals are. You act in accordance to the baseline level of stress within your nervous system. Now, you seem to be pretty bored, so let's do a quick breath work to pump you up. So close your left nostril and hyperventilate. Those who are in the morning on the class, keep breathing. You can do breath of fire, pumping the navel to the spine. Come on. I know it looks weird, but we are doing something to your nervous system because I need you to be alert. So through the nose. Beautiful. Deep inhale. Hold. Hold, hold, hold. I heard some exhale. Okay, now exhale slowly, slowly with control. Perfect. Okay, now do you feel more alert? I hope so. So, biology class. For me to make you understand what breath does and how stress impacts our body and how breath can impact the baseline level of stress, we need to understand the nervous system. So we've got central nervous system and peripheral. Central is the governing unit, and the peripheral is basically our interaction with the external world. The central nervous system, we all know that, is the brainstem and spine, and all the muscles, skeleton, everything is basically alive to keep the nervous system alive. And then within the peripheral nervous system, we've got autonomic and somatic. Somatic is all the voluntary movement. I want to raise my arm, I want to do this and that. So, and do I smell something? Do I see something? this is all governed by the peripheral nervous system. And then you've got autonomic nervous system, which are all the involuntary actions within the system. Breathing, you're not really breathing consciously at all. You're breathing on your own. So that's governed by autonomic nervous system. It was believed for a long time that it's autonomic, so you can't really control it. And it's true, you're not consciously thinking, yeah, heart beat, yeah, like digestion works, so I can get my food into my system. No, it's working on its own, but you can actually influence it with your breath. When it comes to the balance, emotional, mental balance in your life, it all depends on the balance between sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So it's part of autonomic nervous system. It can't be controlled. So sympathetic is fight, flight, or freeze response. So if the tiger comes, or if there's a deadline, and you don't have enough energy, then your sympathetic nervous system kicks in, and what happens in your body is that, again, like you're focusing, so you're getting the stuff done. But maybe you're freezing, you're like, what am I going to do? That's where procrastination comes, right? So you think that you're procrastinating? No, you're just overwhelmed, and your body perceives it as a threat, so it shuts down. Or you're escaping the situation. Somebody is fighting, there's an argument, I'm done with this, and you're going away. So this is all governed by sympathetic nervous system. And then you've got the parasympathetic, which is the rest and digest. You want to regenerate. You want to release all the stress from your body. You want to repair your cells, detox, all the things that make you feel relaxed. So to deal with life properly, or to lead life properly, you need to have balance of sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. That's also like if you're working, you want to be more in your sympathetic. You want to focus. You want to be active. You want to solve the task at hand. But when you come back home, you want to relax, right? So when you're stressed, is this overdrive of sympathetic nervous system. And that's where breath comes into play. Because when you're breathing, you can influence everything about. So if you really want to achieve something great and amazing, you need to act properly, you need to have positive thoughts, you have to have the vision of where you're going, you need to feel good about that goal, and your physiology needs to work properly. All this can be influenced by breath. So breathwork. Breathwork is a set of practices that are working with control of the breath. As you know, or probably know, lungs don't have any muscles. So what is happening when we are breathing is actually that the intercostal muscles in between our ribs and the diaphragm are moving, so there's more or less space for our lungs to expand. So lungs is an amazing organ. It's like if you spread it all around, it has 70 meters squared. It's like two-room apartment, because when you breathe in, then it goes down the tubes, and there are little light bulbs. There's like 500 million light bulbs through which the oxygen gets into our bloodstream. And that's how we breathe. So breathwork is not only helping you to breathe properly or to do something good for your body and your mind when you're practicing it, but it's also a training for your breathing pattern when you're not breathing consciously. So the more breathwork you do, the more your body will be trained to breathe effectively when you're not thinking about it. And when you're breathing, all the organs inside, they are packed, right? So when we inhale, there's less space for the heart. when we exhale, there's more space. And there's different dynamics of what's happening within the body. And this is actually where this whole cascade of things that I mentioned before is going to start making sense. So the heart is beating faster when we are inhaling or when we are exhaling, and then slower when we are inhaling. And that influences our heartbeat. And what's important for our balance in life is to optimize our heart rate, so-called heart rate variability. That's the amount of time that passes in between those beats. And this actually, the average number tells the doctors or the scientists whether your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system are in balance. And if you actually want to balance it out, you need to balance out your heart rate. You need to bring coherence within the heartbeats. And you can do that by bringing coherence into your breath. So when you're breathing smoothly and regularly, then also your heart is going to beat regularly, and that's creating coherent signals that are then sent to brain, and then you can think clearly, then you can achieve whatever you want. So if you want to change the way you feel, think, and act, you need to learn how to breathe properly. I know that in the book club, you had the book Breath last month. Who has read it? Raise your hands. Okay, so everybody look around. Those are the people who can provide the answers if you have and don't want to read about the entire book. So I'm just going to summarize it here, and that is what happens to your body when you're not breathing effectively. You're more prone to stress, more prone to anxiety, depression. You don't have enough energy, which leads to chronic fatigue. And then your body deals with way more inflammation, which is the basis for being sick. So if you're getting sick often, it means too much inflammation and too many things not working well, meaning more reasons to do breath work. I know that only half a year ago, you had a talk about mindfulness and meditation. How many of you have picked up meditation or at least tried it once? Okay, good. And those who haven't, who experience all the thoughts and they were like, screw it, I'm not good in meditation. So anybody experience this? When you tried to meditate, all the thoughts came? Who just said, screw it? Yeah. So this is very common. And breathwork or meditation, what is better at getting you into more calmer state? I'm teaching both practices because they are both extremely powerful and potent in their own way. Meditation is perfect for focus and dealing with the current stress. But when it comes to current stress and past stress that is stored within the body, then breathwork can serve better purpose. Another thing is that if you're very new to meditation, you can focus on the breath or do extremely simple breathing practices that will serve as a meditation or as a gateway to get you into a meditative state. Because meditation is not what you think it is. Meditation is not sitting cross-legged with your hands in Gyan Mudra and just chilling there when all your mind, all the thoughts are coming around your mind. That's not meditation. Meditation is when you forget who you are, what's the time, where you are, and you just are so blissed out that the time passes. Who has ever experienced this kind of meditation? Amazing. So a couple of people, you can do this through different practices, even if you're going biking or running, you can get into this flow state where you forget about everything. And if you want to do the calmer one, you can opt for meditation or go for breath work that is going to help you get into that state faster. the most powerful and easiest technique that I want to teach you, if there's just one thing that you should remember from my talk, it's this. It's physiological SIGH. This is something that our body involuntarily does throughout the day when it wants to reset from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic nervous system. So how do you do it? You inhale through the nose deeply, and then sharp inhale again, and exhale through the mouth slowly. So 2 parts inhalation, one long one, then sharp one, and then slow exhale through the mouth. So let's try it together. Again. So this is physiological SIGH. Its purpose is to get as much air into your system as possible and to reset to the parasympathetic nervous system. You can use this when you're working out, for example, when you're in the gym and you're pumping, and afterwards you need to reset. You can do a couple of physiological SIGHs to reset yourself. If you're about to have a discussion with your boss and you don't know like what's happening, do physiological SIGHs and you'll be much calmer. Whatever stressful situation you encounter, you can use physiological SIGH. There's been also an experiment done with by Huberman. I don't know if anybody knows Huberman Lab podcast. He's a neuroscientist. So they did research where they tested 5 minutes mindfulness practice and what is the effect for those people throughout the day. So they tested meditation for 5 minutes, physiological SIGH for 5 minutes, and then different breathing techniques. And what they found out that physiological SIGH, doing 5 minutes of physiological SIGH every single day for 30 days is 5 times more effective than meditating. So, and it's not only throughout the practice, but also during the entire day. So if you want to bring more calm into your life and support the value of balanced work with life, then implement just 5 minutes, super simple breathing practice into your day, and then work-life balance will come just like that. So remember this. Another breathing technique is yogic breath. Maybe some of you are aware of pranayama, so ancient yogic science of breathing and controlling breathing. The mother of all breath work in yogic tradition is yogic breath. So you breathe into separate sections of your lungs to get the most inside. Because when you're breathing normally, you're using maybe like 25% of your lung capacity, and then you've got old air in your system, and you're not oxygenating your system, and that's why you're not thinking clearly. And being now in this conference room without the doors open, that also takes away the oxygen. So breathing properly and practicing yogic breath is also going to teach your body to utilize way more oxygen, even in oxygen-deprived spaces. So sectional breathing. You inhale into your belly, like the belly is sticking out. And then when you can't anymore, you inhale to the sides. And when you can't anymore, you inhale up. And now you're full. And now slowly forward. So this is so sectional breathing, like inhale to the belly, to the sides, and up. And then exhale from the belly, from the sides, and from the upper part. So this is also a very powerful, pretty simple practice of using your lungs entirely. There's also another practice, and I'm happy that we are more in space. If you want to stand up, there's this practice which you can use instead of coffee. So stand up. I'm going to teach you something. Gosh. Okay, find some space. And when your palms are facing up, find some space so you've got get into the room. You can come closer to me as well. Beautiful. Okay, let's start. So when you inhale, we are going to inhale in 3 parts again. So inhale, palms facing up, and then in front of you. Then another inhale, arms come to the side. And another inhale, arms come up. And then exhale through the mouth, palms facing down. So if you do this practice, that's perfect for treating hangovers, for balancing your body, for increasing energy. You can practice. Come on. Okay. You can sit down. Okay. Ta-da. So this was Kriya, so yogic breath on steroids. Because when you do this fast and then find the flow, also go down into your knees, then your energy will increase. You will also feel more grounded. You feel sharp and clear-headed. So if you feel low and you want to get that 5th cup of coffee, just do this for 3 minutes and see what happens. So with breathwork, which is the training for the lungs and for our nervous system, we are actually learning how to breathe effectively. So what does it mean to breathe effectively? It's through the nose. So whoever is breathing through the mouth is setting themselves up for sympathetic nervous system overdrive, so way more stress. It worsens ADHD, so focus goes all around. It drains energy, and my experiments showed that you also can lose some brain cells. So if you want to improve your life, just do this one simple thing. Start breathing through the nose. Because when you're breathing through the nose, the air is filtered, so you don't get any pollutants in your system. You are also warming it up and pressurizing it so you can breathe in deeper. We would think that when you breathe in through the mouth, you're inhaling more. But it's not true, because when you breathe through the nose, the air pressurizes, and then you can breathe in deeper through the nose. So that's why physiological SIGH, inhale through the nose if you want to breathe in as much oxygen as possible. Another interesting thing about nose is that right nostril is like a gas pedal. So if you want to focus, increase your energy, increase your heart rate before you do certain activity where high energy is required, you do what we did a couple of minutes ago. So you just hyperventilate through the right nostril. Left nostril helps you to get into the creative flow, to understand your emotions better, to relax. So if you're feeling anxious, close your right nostril and deep breaths through the left. That's it. Right is the gas pedal, left is the brake system. And in yogic tradition, we've got alternate nostril breathing to balance out the nervous system. And what's also interesting, now just like close your eyes to be able to focus better, you're going to breathe dominantly through one nostril. Just notice. Which nostril is it? Okay, so everybody has it different. And every 45 minutes or so, it changes when our body is in balance, right? So every once in a while, you can check in with yourself like, where am I breathing dominantly from? This is called nasal cycle. So very interesting thing that you probably didn't know about your body. Effective breath is rhythmic. So we are already established that you want to have coherent heartbeat, so that's why you need to breathe rhythmically. Rhythmic breathing can be also, but this is not really supporting the calm space. But if you breathe deep and rhythmic, that can set you up for more clarity and more peace within your system. And why deep? Because parasympathetic nervous system has nervous endings at the bottom of the lungs. So if you breathe into your belly, you're promoting relaxation. If you're breathing into the upper part of your lungs, you're promoting sympathetic nervous system. So you're promoting your alertness. And if you want to relax, since I guess that the work can be challenging, just breathe deeply, focus on your breath, and make it rhythmic. Slow. So what was the number that you got?
10, 20.
Okay, interesting. So based on research, and not only research, but also ancient traditions, the most effective breath is 5.5 breaths per minute. That's when you're breathing most effectively. So if you got any number above 10, you'd better to train your muscles or your lungs to breathe deeper, because it's going to improve your life. And it's also effortless. So focusing on the breath basically eliminates all other activities that we should do in our life. So when you train your body to breathe effortless, deep, and rhythmically, then you're going to be fine. But if you've got troubles breathing, then it's pretty obvious that it's ineffective breath. So your breath needs to be smooth with pauses in between. So you inhale, hold, and then exhale, hold. This is the natural rhythm that you get when you're when you're breathing effectively. So then does anybody know what's happening? What's that? Okay, this was just a trick to get you a bit stressed, so close your eyes. Close your eyes. Come on. Close your eyes and just notice your breath. Notice where you're breathing. Notice your heartbeat. Notice the effects of stress within your system. When you don't know what's happening, when you've got erratic signals within your body, when there's incoherence in your heartbeat, in your brain waves, in everything. This is the effect of stress. Physiological sigh. Let's reset the system. Inhale deep, sharp, and slow control through the mouth. And again. Last one. Again, notice how you're feeling now. Being stressed versus just 3 breaths away, and how you're feeling. So there are different breathwork types. We tried physiological sigh. I talked slightly about pranayama. I will be talking about it a bit more. And you probably heard about Wim Hof breathing, which is basically adapted to more ancient Tibetan practice. And then we've got other types. And everything is basically using inhale, breath hold, exhale, breath hold in different patterns, in different depths, in different types, or in different settings. For example, holotropic breathwork is something that is similar to taking psychedelics, because you're breathing through the mouth and over-breathing, conscious connected breath without any pauses in between. There's music, and then what happens to your body is that your prefrontal cortex shuts down, so you can't really think or make any decisions. But your memory center gets activated, your visual center gets activated, and you start tripping. But this is controlled, and it's all induced by your own body. And that's how you can access the memories from your childhood, the suppressed emotions, the suppressed traumas, and all other things that you don't even know that you have. Then trauma release breathwork also uses conscious connected breath, but they're also using touch in the body to release the energy or the stuck stress, the stuck emotions from the physical body. So there's plenty of breathwork types, and each serves its purpose. I'm coming from yogic tradition, or actually that was the thing that helped me 4.5 years ago. I embarked on this journey, and by now, since I already talked about how much I used to embrace alcohol and drugs, I should say that I'm now only high on prana. I'm extremely sober, and this breathwork, or those practices that I do, gave me the most satisfaction that I've ever experienced. So what is prana? Prana is Sanskrit word for energy, for life force. When we usually say, I'm low on energy, I don't have energy to do things, or like, I'm so energetic, I'm going to do something. So in yoga, we call it prana. That's the thing that gives us the juice to live the life. And the gateway to manipulate or to getting more prana is through our breath. So prana is an energy. Everything on its basic level is energy. You've got quarks that are vibrating a certain way, and then they connect into electrons and neutrons and all those things. I'm not a chemist. So, and then you've got atoms, which they have their own energetic imprint. Several atoms together create molecules, and then the molecule has a certain energetic imprint. And then we go further from molecules to chemicals, to cells, to tissues, to the organs, to the systems, and then to the entire body. So also, our entire body has a certain energetic charge. And as much prana you have, that much energetic charge you have. I don't know if you knew this, but human eye can see only less than 0.01% of light spectrum. So basically, we don't see almost anything. There's zero empty space. The fact that we don't see it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It's just our human eye that can't really perceive that. So, but those who have more prana, they have bigger energetic field. You can sense them. You can feel them. You don't see that somebody has big aura or big energetic field or small one. But sometimes, like somebody enters the room and you notice them right away. It's because you sense it energetically. And that's prana. This is a picture with a special technique called Kirlian photography. So it's a way to photograph living beings or living objects, for example, leaf, and see their biophotonic field, so their light that they emit. And this is very interesting because the leaf was cut here, and you can see that there's way more prana, way more energy, way more living light within the physical leaf. But despite there was no leaf at all, energetically it was still there. It's a phantom feeling that, for example, if somebody has their arm amputated, then they can still feel certain sensations. Why? Because they have the energetic template through which they perceive certain things. And it's not only the physical things that have certain energy. We established that the thoughts have electrical charge, the emotions have electromagnetic charge with the chemical signals, and this all has its own energy. And that's what we are carrying in our energetic field. All the thoughts, all the emotions, they can be seen by special technology around our field and within our system. I actually went to a workshop where I got my photograph taken. So this is how the room looked like before I entered. Oh, by the way, here I should say that this guy, all the pink stuff, it's where the energy is not really flowing. Green is somewhat okay, but the darker the color, the less the energy is flowing there, the more density there is, for example, and then like if there's dense energy, then you can get sick way more often. This guy, there's like super dark energy here, liver, right? And there's dark energy in his throat. What I see is that this guy is suppressing anger so much that it's creating certain problems. If he's not dealing with it psychologically, then he's going to have problems with his liver and probably also his throat. So this all can be changed. How? You guessed it, breathwork, but there's the proof. So this is how the room looked like before I took the picture. You can see that it's not really balanced because there was light coming from one side. So when you'll see my picture, also take into consideration how the energy of the room looked like. Here you can see there's a lot of small circles. Those are the densities within the energetic field. And this was me. They told me that I sorted pretty much everything within my energetic field. There's a lot of white light. That means that whatever comes in, it transmutes. I emitted amazing, clean energy. I was free of judgments, free of any emotional and mental roadblocks. That was in my energy field. But here, look. Look. I was just crushing my teeth when I got angry or when something hurt me. And they immediately asked about my childhood issues because in energy, and they were spot on. They knew exactly what traumas I went through in my life to get this energy stuck here. And that's what I've been working on in the past 4.5 years to release the energy over there. But this picture was taken like 3 or 4 days after the breathwork retreat. Before that, you remember the picture when it was just like so dark and dense and unhappy with a lot of trauma in me, not a single piece of happiness within my system. And less than a month later, my energy field was clean just by breathing consciously every day. More intensely, but still. So we've got different bodies. We've got the physical body, but we also have the emotional and mental bodies and the spiritual. There's also a thing called causal body, which is the collective energy that we carry within our system. It's the culture imprint that we have within us. That's even the company culture. You all share a certain level of consciousness because you have the internal jokes, you know how to connect together. That's also stuck within your system, and you can use it for your advantage. And one thing is to do breath work or this controlled breath practice. And another thing is to do kriyas. And that's what I'm actually teaching. Kriya is a multi-layered practice that uses body, breath, and then, for example, hand gestures, which we call mudras, to direct energy within our system. We focus mostly on the third eye, but also different parts of our body, because where we direct our attention, that's where the energy flows, that's where the energy can get released. And kriyas, it's basically a technology that we use. The hardware is our body, and through different movements and breathing patterns, we can clear and purify all the layers of our body. Different practices have different effects. If you want to calm yourself down, then you do different kriyas. If you want to charge yourself up, if you want to get more clarity, if you want to release anxiety, if you want to cure hangover, if you want to, I don't know, detox your liver, you're going to do different practices for that. And that's what we're going to do every single morning. I was pretty happy today that quite a lot of people showed up in the morning, so thank you for the promotion. But I would like to invite you to journey with me in the mornings. We start at 7, try to be on time, and bring a towel and a cushion with you so you can enjoy the practice. When my mom saw me doing kriyas for the first time, she was like, this is like a cult. Yeah, like it's ancient practice, and what we do, it doesn't always look so smooth and business friendly. But the main goal is to actually get enough prana into our system to direct the energy a certain way so we can enter this meditative state naturally, and we can balance out the imbalances within the system. So not only bring the beach towel and the pillow, but also an open mind. But once you do, after that 1 hour, you will feel different. I guarantee that. And you will smile. And you will have also more energy. So if you want to change the way you feel, the way you think, and the way you act, then you need to teach your body how to breathe properly. You can do it with the simple practice of 5 minutes of physiological SIGH every single morning. But if you want to explore altered states of consciousness, if you want to experience what is it to live a blissed life full of calm, peace, happiness, high energy, then I invite you to practice or experiment with kriyas. So I'll be here throughout this entire week. You can always come and ask me about the practices or your problems, and hopefully we'll breathe out all the problems out. Now I invite you to put one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, and just notice your heartbeat, and notice how your belly is expanding and contracting with every single breath. Now you have in your hands, literally, the biggest gifts of life and the control unit of a happy, peaceful, and balanced life. Because when you breathe coherently, rhythmically, and effectively, then also your heartbeat will be giving coherent signals, you will think clearly, and you will improve your life on all levels. So thank you so much. And if you have any questions, I'm open for them right now. Do we? Yeah? Breathe deeply into the belly. So you just set the timer for like 5 minutes, just like super deep breath into your belly and down, and control the exhale through the mouth. That's also going to put you in meditative state.
So shall we also aim to 5.5 breaths per minute?
No, don't count. Like, don't engage your brain when you're trying to fall asleep. You just breathe. Just focus on the belly, and that's the only thing you need to focus on. And then slowly you will start to go like snoozy, and you'll go to bed. Any other questions? Okay, if nothing, then thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.